Yes, I saw that. That always gets that for sure. But good old PBR. That's fine. I don't feel bad saying that on the Stone tour. But after with Prohibition, Prohibition was like the worst thing to happen to beer ever. Best thing to happen to like organized crime and things like this. And Steve Buscemi's career, if anyone's watched that board. Thank you. The one dude in the back. Yes, thank you. You make it worthwhile for doing these tours. But he got a show about that stuff. After that, the shape of brewing and the face of brewing really changed because of grain rationing for World War II, can't talk. And then, like I mentioned, advertising. With just the rise of television and just wide advertising campaigns, by the 70s, the brewing scene had went from like 2,700 to about 70 breweries. That sucks. That's the bummed out part of the story. But then it gets better. Right now we're living in this. People throw around the terms beer renaissance, which is a pretty apt term. But actually, according to the Brewers Association, in 2010 there were 1,623 breweries in the U.S. Yay, America! America. Yeah, no A before that. It starts at the end, and that's cool though. I mean, that's something that. U.S. beer, because of these things, has had a bad rap for several years, but now it's becoming the envy of the world because there's so much just differentiation, experimentation, just lots of really cool, exciting, interesting beers. And you see people trying to replicate the same model in countries like Scotland. You have Brewdog. They're in the UK. They're fighting against tradition. It's harder for them. In the U.S., you have so much just open to you, and I think that's really awesome. San Diego too. San Diego has become one of the top beer cities in the U.S. So much so that people ride their bike from L.A. here. That's amazing. I can't get over that. Like, as someone who does very little physically, that is very impressive to me. But San Diego, even in San Diego, this last year, 4 breweries opened. Hess Brewing, Manzanita, Mother Earth Brewing, and Iron Fist. Yeah, so all these just opened up. And if you guys get a chance, I don't know, anyone here live in San Diego, get that luxury of beer? Cool? Like 3 of you guys? Yeah, San Diego was voted #1 beer city in the U.S. not that long ago. That's cool. And they come down to get beer. And so,
decent amount of smokers too.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone really disagree with that for the #1 beer city? Because usually people from Portland get pissed off, or Denver. Denver has get. And somebody that earlier on the tour was like, "What about Canada? Like my favorite U.S. city." There is like great Canadian beer, of course, and but they've had it for a while. The U.S. is interesting, separate story altogether. Trying to think of any questions that kind of helps me out for what to talk about. No one will. All right, we'll play a game I made up. What's the green stuff? All right, hops. These are hops. Yeah, I'll pass these around in a second. We're getting ahead of ourselves in the whole ingredients thing, so I'll backtrack a second. And what do we got? Let's start out with the grains are all the same kind of. They're barley. Different roasts are on them. This is malted barley, heart and soul of your beer. You mentioned yeast, taking sugar. This is where you get your sugar. So grain gives you the alcohol, the appearance, a lot of the flavors in there. And it's just a cereal grain, grass seed, nothing too fancy. And we use a lot of this stuff. We use about 200,000 pounds of this stuff a week. I'll pass that out. You can try that one if you want. Yeah, you can try that one. This one's a little bit better. This is a caramel malt or crystal malt. It's the same thing. It's kind of like when you throw bread into a toaster, you add heat, the sugars on there caramelize. It's a little bit sweeter.